Hey everyone, Erica Lindsay Ayala here, and I am presenting you with a quick hit for Gotta Get Up this week. I couldn't help myself. I really wanted to talk to New York Liberty fans and WNBA fans, but particularly New York Liberty fans and probably Lynx fans about the matchup we are getting tonight. That's right, folks. It is the New York Liberty against the Minnesota Lynx. Not only is Walt Hopkins going up against his former boss and former head coach, Cheryl Reeve. He's going up against former New York Liberty head coach, Katie Smith. That's right. In case you didn't know, Katie Smith, who coached the New York Liberty for only 2 seasons after being and working under Bill Laimbeer, her contract was not renewed, but she was picked up by the Minnesota Lynx and head coach and general manager Cheryl Reeve, who made a commitment to hire women and particularly focus on former players. I wrote a story about that. You can read it in The Athletic, and the links are below. Listen, I know some people have opinions about subscriptions, but they really do mean a lot for a freelance writer like me, and I'm very proud of this story. A lot of work went into it. So click that link, go read that story. So both coaches, I was on media calls Monday and Tuesday yesterday, and both coaches were asked not only what will it feel like to go up against their former team, former colleague, whatever the case is, but also if they wanted to, reflect or say anything about the other. Here's what they had to say. First, we'll start with Cheryl Reeve.
Mitchell, go ahead.
Cheryl, looking at Wednesday now, obviously you have some familiar faces lining up on the other side of the court with Walt and Shelly. Just kind of explain, your relationship with them, your time with them, and what it's going to be like kind of going up against them now that they're on the other side on Wednesday.
Yeah, you've already talked about it more than what we're going to talk about it or think about it. It's hard to even describe how singularly focused you have to be on what you're doing. You just don't have time to worry a lot about other teams. Have not watched a whole lot of New York, haven't paid attention, so I really don't know a lot about, what's the ins and outs there. I can only tell you that Shelly Patterson worked for us for a decade, and I was just so appreciative of all that she gave the franchise and did, and who she was for us, and a steady, loyal to everyone. Just worked her butt off for us, and I hope the change is going well for her.
And now Walt Hopkins.
Mitchell Hansen.
Hey, Walt. Thanks for taking some time. I just wanted to kind of shift focus a little bit to tomorrow night's game. Obviously, you have some familiar faces on the other side, with Cheryl and company over there. Could you maybe just kind of explain, or talk about your time with Cheryl and in Minnesota and what it's going to be kind of like going up against them for the first time?
It's just a big, prepare for any game. It's about us. It's not about the opponent, and that's been our focus. Every shoot around, every pregame, it's always been about that. So, we're trying to make adjustments from the day before, the game before, every day. And that's what we're focused on going into this one.
So both teams are very focused on their own team coming into this game, at least as of earlier this week. I don't know, seemed a little cold to me, but also makes a lot of sense. But I would love to know what Katie Smith is thinking these days, as well as the rest of the New York Liberty roster. Well, the rest. There's actually not that many players that played under Katie Smith, but people like Kia Nurse or Kia Stokes, who would have known Katie for a little bit there. So I think it's going to be a little bit spicy. Of course, there's no Sabrina Ionescu, which is really going to impact the New York Liberty. But also, as I wrote for The Athletic, link in the description, little icon somewhere over here. Whether Sabrina Ionescu is on the court for the remainder of the season or not, this is what was always going to happen. What was always going to happen is that New York was going to have difficulty finding scoring. Sabrina Ionescu has taken over Tina Charles' spot on this team. And that's great. And it speaks volumes, and I do mean volumes, to Sabrina's leadership. But to me, it's unless we see someone step up soon, I think it is a swing and a miss for the promise that the New York Liberty were going to be a new look New York Liberty. And yes, they have 7 rookies, which includes Sabrina Ionescu. And maybe if I look at it from this perspective of the pandemic and having a wobble season of 22 games per team, allows them to kind of tinker and play. I think that's what they're selling. What makes more sense is that once Marine Johannes, Han Zhu, and Rebecca Allen said they weren't coming over, they needed those rookies, right? They needed those draft picks to fill out their roster. They could have gone the route like other teams did of cutting players and then picking up on the free agent market. That is not what the New York Liberty opted to do. So that kind of makes me believe that, yeah, they do want this youth movement. But what happens when Han comes back? What happens when Marine Johannes comes back? What happens when Rebecca Allen comes back? That's 3 spots alone that at best are up for contention, but at worst and more likely are already promised to those players. Of course, I have to mention my obligatory Nyorin Kakakunwe. I would love to see Nyorin Kakakunwe on this team. I think she's got a grit, and it's a quiet grit that would fit into Walt's system. So we'll see. But the reason Nio isn't playing outside of the pandemic is because this was supposed to be an Olympic year. But if the Olympics happen next year, what's going to happen to the WNBA season? There are just so many things, but I wanted to give you a little bit of the spice, a little bit of the drama. This is an abbreviated episode. A few things have happened since I started Gotta Get Up, or was trying to start Gotta Get Up. And that is that I'm a new host for Locked On Women's Basketball. And so I'm actually doing 2 shows, Tuesdays and Thursdays, with the Locked On Women's Basketball podcast, link in the description. So, I'm going to keep it real. Everything that I'm doing on YouTube, I do because of my amazing Patreon posse and fans that, crowd fund this. This doesn't really, I'm not monetized. This isn't a monetized YouTube page. Not yet. But I think I need like 4,000 views. We're not quite there yet. Anyway, so the opportunity to be with a network and have some other income as a freelancer has been amazing. Also, wow, the New York Liberty season, but also the WNBA season came fast and furious. I know I've been talking about that it's a quick turnaround for athletes, but I honestly just didn't anticipate how much of a grind it is for media as well. I mean, again, my grind happens right here in this space, in this apartment. It doesn't require any other than a very uncomfortable chair, although I ordered a new one. I'm very excited. It should come soon. Also got a new mic. I don't know if you noticed. Anyway, it's a grind, late nights. I didn't even watch all of the 3rd game last night. I fell asleep. It looked like it was a good one. I'll rewatch it today. Anyway, all that to say, it's been a grind. Things are changing up a little, but I am still committed to bringing you special New York Liberty content, including this fast break with Bria Hartley. Hey, Bria, Erica here in the New York market. Good to see you. We miss you out here. But want to give you just a fun hypothetical for some Liberty fans. If you had to spend all of the 2020 season either in Bill Lambier's game day suit or waking up to the pyrotechnics of the torch, which would you rather?
Probably the pyrotechnics of the torch, because I'm not trying to wear Bill's suit. That thing is huge. I look crazy.
Thanks, Bria.
No problem.
And speaking of Bria, I'm going to talk about her on Locked On Women's Basketball tomorrow, Thursday, August 6th, because I really didn't like the narrative that swirled around Bria Hartley. And honestly, any of the New York Liberty guards also wrote about that, also in the description. Feel very strongly about it. So there's probably exclamation points there. You cannot miss it. I don't like the conversation that's been had about Hartley and a lot of the guards that the New York Liberty had and never adequately used. And that is not on Katie Smith alone. It's not on Katie Smith alone. Bill Laimbeer had the same issue. And until he freed #free Kelsey Plum, until he freed Kelsey Plum, who was amazing in the finals last year or the playoffs, he was having that issue with the aces as well. Bill likes a lot of guards. It seemed like Katie Smith liked a lot of guards too, but somehow none of the guards that they had on their rosters were good enough for them to feel confident in them playing point guard. And to some extent, even with Sabrina, I don't know. I mean, she's a great facilitator, but she's also got a great shot. I don't know. Jasmine Jones now we're seeing is starting to play point guard as a backup role. Laisha Clarendon, I think, was brought in to be a guard, but I've never really liked her pace of game. I just don't. And I think she's opened up about really working and wanting to be a better finisher at the basket. And so, she's great at getting drives, but not always great on the finish. So many things about this New York Liberty team. We're definitely going to talk about it. But like I said, the way I see it is the New York Liberty were going to struggle this season. Maybe they're selling it as, oh yeah, we always meant to do this. But I've always thought it was going to be more difficult than even the team anticipated because they built this team, even this very young team, around Sabrina Ionescu alone. Just like the team had always been anchored by Tina Charles while she was on the team. Another thing I'm not finding encouraging is that Walt says, he wants a three-point shooting system. Now, granted, this is when he thought he had Rebecca Allen. But that's only one player. I mean, Kia Nurse can definitely shoot from that range. I think she has struggled with consistency, and I don't think that ankle injury helped. We know that Amanda Zawi B likes to shoot from the perimeter. I don't think that she should at her size, and given the size of the New York Liberty, that's a whole nother issue. And then now Kia Stokes is shooting from three-pointer. I think you have that in your repertoire, but the New York Liberty are now so ballooned out on the perimeter and the shots are not falling that they're not getting any offense. They're not getting any offense. So I have a lot to say about the New York Liberty, but I'm going to break that down a little bit more piece by piece. Definitely want to talk about perimeter shooting. Definitely want to talk about what's going to be the guard situation for the New York Liberty moving forward. And again, Sabrina Ionescu was never going to be the answer for the New York Liberty. I have that again. I wrote about that. I feel very strongly about that. I wrote about it for The Athletic. And so far, I mean, even again with her injury, the injury amplifies what I think was always the problem, and that some people are maybe just now realizing as a problem. This team with Sabrina Ionescu alone is not enough. And I think it's very honorable in some ways to give some young blood some exposure. But at the end of the day, you also have to attract free agents. And I don't think the New York Liberty are doing the best job attracting free agents. I mean, you still want to win games. And the New York Liberty haven't done that in quite some time. So I think it's going to be a long road, but I'm going to break that down here. I'm still going to do this for Gotta Get Up, just, managing a little bit of a different schedule. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the tea, a little bit of tea. Cheryl Reeve and Katie Smith up against Walt Hopkins. And I didn't even get into this. And Shelly Patterson. So there's a complete swap happening here in the coaching realm. I think it's going to be drama. There's going to be some sass pre and post game, if I had to guess. So check your girl. I'm going to be up in all of them. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I'm going to have 2 screens and hope that I'm not asking questions at the same time, but I'm going to figure it out. We're going to get it done, and it will be all right here for you on Gotta Get Up. Make sure you're following Sports Talk with Erica Lindsay Ayala, and check out my series that I have that's kind of the staple for YouTube now, and it's social justice in women's sports. I've opened it up. It was started as social justice in women's hockey, but as you will see from this playlist right here, I've also gotten into basketball and soccer, and I think I like that. So social justice in women's sports, go check it out. All right, folks, an update. I was signing off, ready to go, but we just got some news about Sabrina Ionescu that I am going to read to you right now. We got a media advisory as I was finishing recording this, and it says, New York Liberty guard Sabrina Ionescu, who exited Friday's game against the Atlanta Dream in the second quarter due to an ankle sprain, is leaving to New York on Wednesday, August 5th, that's today, to see an ankle and foot specialist. More details will be shared when available. So here's the thing about that. Seeing a specialist, we've heard over like 6 doctors are looking at this. I don't want to read into that at all. I don't think we can. I think it's great to hear or to read that the New York Liberty are being very supportive of Sabrina Ionescu getting as much information and as many opinions as possible. I think what that tells me, though, is that they want to be sure of whatever. So I don't know. We don't know what that means yet. I am not going to sit here and speculate. I think whatever it is, they want to be sure. And that makes a lot of sense. This is a young athlete. You don't want to push her back too soon. And, again, as I was saying in the segment, she is and will be, for the foreseeable future, the face of the franchise. So they definitely want to handle this the right way. So perhaps we'll get some updates. I had a little flyaway there. Oh, I need a haircut so bad. That's next. First it was Mike, then it's Chair, then we get a haircut. That's yay. That's when I know I've made it. So again, keep clicking those links. And if you're not already a patron, part of the Patreon posse, that's what I say. Come on down. There's a link up here somewhere. Patreon posse. Sports Talk with ELA. Anyway, so I want to come back and give you that update. Again, I think it's great that New York is keeping us in communication. We just don't know what this means yet. But whatever it means to me right now that when we officially get the word of whatever it is, it's going to be, a complete review of what's happening. So that is that. Check it out tonight. So actually, let's see, what time is this game? The game, here's the lineup. It's actually the 7 p.m. game. So this will be on CBS Sports Network or Fox. I was able to watch it on Fox Sports Go last time because I was blacked out, but like on the internet, not in like real life. Anyway, I was blacked out of League Pass. So I was able to watch this on Fox Sports Go because I live that Hulu life, because Hulu has live sports and supports the U.S. Women's National Team. And I've seen some WNBA tweets and IG posts about Hulu. So Hulu, if you are also supporting women's basketball, you should let us know because I want to know. Either way, I saw Skylar Diggins-Smith's post something. I'm going to look into that. So that's the 7 p.m. game. That's the one we're locked in. Reeve, Hopkins, Smith, Patterson. It's going to be good. At 8 p.m., another connection that was mentioned on this show. It's the Las Vegas Aces versus the Washington Mystics. And then 10 p.m. tonight, the Indiana Fever and the Los Angeles Sparks. All right, goodbye for real this time. Hopefully there are no more updates.